Going to be the most awkward meeting of all time. This is going to be the equivalent, the political equivalent of having your ex-wife at a wedding, and it is going to be horrible. These two could not be more opposite. He likes cheeseburgers, she's about the frankfurters. He's flamboyant. She could murder both her parents in the night and eat their livers for breakfast, and you would never know. These two are diametrically opposed. He wants a travel ban. She's the mother of all migrants. I do not see this meeting going well. Merkel never smiles. She actually travels with a wardrobe assistant specifically tasked to keep her looking boring so that people will focus on her politics. That's the truth.
All right, the voice you were hearing there, News Roundup Information Overload, is Daily Mail columnist Katie Hopkins, and that's when she was on, I believe, Stuart Varney's program, and she was talking about Trump and Angela Merkel. It's almost like the Camille Paglia of Great Britain, and we're a big fan of hers, and you've never been on the program before, have you? How are you?
I'm well, thank you, and thank you for being so kind. And no, I haven't joined you on your show before, but yes, that was me with lovely Varney. And as you can tell or hear, I'm not the biggest fan of Angela Merkel, mother of all migrants, who I hold entirely responsible for the dilapidated state of Europe as it is today. She's the one that said, come, make this your home, come. And she's the reason we still have 44,000 migrants crossing the Med to date this year in 2017.
Well, you're xenophobic, and you're racist, and I'm sure you're probably a sexist and an Islamophobe on top of it.
I tell you, Sean, if there's an is, darling, I am it. Sexist, racist, Islamophobic, body shamer,
you just called me darling. That's sexual harassment today.
Yeah, oh God. And also a misogynist. I mean, just is. If there's an is, I absolutely have to. As I walk around the town centre here, I wear the labels all over me just so that people can identify all the ists that I am, and the Liberals can kind of point and laugh. That's pretty much what I do.
There are two types of Brits that I've met in my life. People like you. I actually I actually like Piers Morgan. He's with the Daily Mail, right?
Yeah.
I've come to really like him. And you know what? And we don't always agree. I mean, I told him on guns. He drives me nuts.
Crazy.
And then he came to America and was going to lecture America on the need to take everybody's guns away. I said, that was the dumbest programming decision I think anyone's ever made in the history of television. And he goes, you're right. It was the dumbest one. But I really like him. He's very quick, and he's very smart and sarcastic and iconoclastic, just like you. And then there's other Brits that are dull and boring and liberal. And then the rest of us are alive, and we're the ones that come under fire. You remind me a little bit of Nigel Farage, too.
I think, the Nigel comparison might be a bit dodgy, but yeah, he's quite similar. We're outspoken. We say exactly what we think, and exactly with Piers, it was the dumbest thing he ever did to try to go to America and kind of tell them about kind of guns and what you should be doing was absolutely bonkers. That would be like coming to the UK and trying to tell Brits about history. You just don't do that kind of stuff.
That would be like me doing a talk show in Great Britain saying, why do you have a king and queen and prince and princess for? What's that all about?
Mind you, the Liberals would love you for that, Sean. Oh! The Liberals hate the monarchy.
I know,
so a lot of your biggest fans all of a sudden. But I do think, look, we share a similarity, Piers and I, certainly, where we say what we think, and I in no way want to persuade everyone over to my side. I don't want people to have my opinion. I just want them to have an opinion, for me to have mine, and I don't need them to agree with me. I always say, Sean, opinions are not right or wrong. Life is not an exam, and no one made you the invigilator. But somehow Liberals can't get their heads around that. They have one way of thinking, and if you don't think the same way, then they basically throw rocks at you or set fire to your car, which is about their intelligence level, I think.
Why don't you do a talk show on Fox News with us? Because, apparently by the time I get fired in a couple of days after these phony sexual harassment claims. By the way, has it made it across the pond, the story about me?
Has it ever, Trevor? Yeah, it's really made it across. And, I always find with this, there's a lot of kind of save save Sean Hannity and, stand strong with Hannity. I've seen a lot of that as well. So people are like kind of coming out, rallying around the people that they're going to defend no matter what nonsense gets spread. I always think, look, there's fall guys out there. I'm one of them. No doubt I'll be fired sometime next week as well. But I think what we have to accept
I want to take you and my family.
We do have a voice, we go for it.
Oh, I want to just get on a plane together. You, me, and everybody we know together. We'll rent out a big jet and we'll like fly to Australia and we'll invade there. And Australia will throw us out within 24 hours.
Yeah, I don't think we would have the points, Sean, that the Australians require. Like, I don't know if we'd make their credentials for having us in their country, to be honest. They're quite fussy, the Australians. I think it's since we sent our convicts to them. Ever since
that was a bad idea.
About who they let in.
I think it costs, you can buy citizenship there for like $5 million, or maybe it's New Zealand. Well, one of the things that I've been talking about is that, like, in America, and you've experienced this in Great Britain too, is there is this liberal fascism movement where they want to silence every conservative voice they can. And it's called political correctness, whatever it is. But they start these boycotts. Oh, they pressure 300 people, act like they're 300 million people. And they write these advertisers en masse and all these phony accounts that they have already pre-established. And the left that says they're so tolerant of liberty and freedom of expression are the most intolerant human beings on this earth. Are you experiencing that where you are?
Absolutely. It's very similar here. So liberals try to shut down anything they don't buy into. Certainly our state broadcaster, the British Broadcasting Corporation, the bias on there, I was calling them out on it this morning. There were 4 anti-Brexit stories on their homepage for people to start their day with. It's that kind of thing. And then I suppose at a personal level, just because, like, I'm just a mum with 3 kids who's just a bit gobby, that's kind of how I would summarize myself.
Oh, what's a bit gobby? What is gobby?
It's so cute when you do it.
I know, it's so cute, right?
A bit gobby, a bit mouthy. I talk a lot. I say what I think. Gobby,
hang on a second.
My mouth is large.
Oh, she's a bit gobby. She talks a lot. All right, now I'm learning as we go. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm a gobby, but people try to silence me via a number of means. So I've had my children reported to social services for their welfare. I've been in front of the Major Crime and Homicide Command because of a column I wrote. I've had 200,000 people sign a petition to get me sacked. It didn't work. And I've had people send 12 police forces. I've been arrested twice just for saying or tweeting things that I think. So that's how they try to get to you, and it hasn't worked just yet.
Well, I want people to pay very close attention. I'm going to get serious for 1 minute here. Katie Hopkins of the Daily Mail. No. People need to understand. I always say, so goes liberal, leftist, moonbeam California, so goes America, 10 years down the road. Similarly, as goes Europe, eventually all this madness makes its way to the U.S. This is not a joke, what you're saying.
No, it's not really. When I think about those examples of me, sitting in front of 2 police officers in a police station being interviewed about something I wrote in an article in a national paper, and that being referred to the Crown Prosecution Service because I was reported by the Society for Black Lawyers. Basically, what happens here definitely comes to America, and you guys can look at Europe and the way we've fallen with our migrants, the way that we've allowed them to make us essentially terrorist targets on a weekly basis, with our leaders telling us that's just something we have to live with now. That's what you can expect in European cities. All of this, you see it play out in Europe. It definitely comes to America, which is why Trump is on the money with his building the wall, with his stopping people coming from certain countries, clamping down on bringing things on aeroplanes. I think America should protect itself every which way it can, and I look to America still as this kind of brilliant place in my heart. I used to live in the East Village. I worked in Manhattan for 10 years. I still look to America as the champion of free speech, and I see how we have lost that here, and there's a brave few, you included, in America that are fighting the good fight, and I stand right by you.
It is so sad what you're describing. Because, I mean, in a similar way, they're really trying to do that to all the conservatives in this country. Katie, you know, there's somebody right now that's monitoring every word we say, transcribing every word we say. By the way, what a pathetic loser to be in your underwear in your basement like a psycho all day, getting paid to monitor us in the hopes that they can silence us. I mean, whoever that person is,
I know.
Or these people, go get a life. Go live your own life. You are pathetic. Anyway, I digress.
So true. Do you know what happened is, you know, it's a very unfortunate for these guys. They grew up as gamers. They never really left their mum's house. They're like 34 years old. They're men. They're still single. They still live in their mum's spare room. They kind of floss the teeth with their, you know, their toenails. They kind of eat their own earwax. Those are the guys that are monitoring what you and I are saying, and those are the guys that are going to tell us whether we said something that was wrong or not. Well, big news. I don't care. And I don't really care if I end up in prison for the things that I want to say either, because if I go there, I'll write a book and I'll publish that as well. So little man in your basement listening to Sean, back the heck off, because he needs to say what he wants to say.
Well, what if it's a little woman?
When Sean speaks,
what if it's a little woman?
You articulate the voices of so many. That's the thing. You're speaking for so many, and that's why we need to look after voices like yours.
We need to put you on like every Friday. We'll call it Friday Afternoons with Katie Hopkins on the Hannity Show.
Wisdom.
I love that. Hopkins Wisdom.
Sweet.
All right, stay right there. We'll take a break. We'll come back more with Katie. She's with the Daily Mail if you want to read her column. We'll start linking it to Hannity.com.
Hannity Headline. A bite-sized version of the show that you can take with you everywhere you go. To sign up today for Hannity Headlines, go to Hannity.com.
All right, as we continue with Daily Mail columnist Katie Hopkins is with us. You mentioned in the last segment that the police came to your house. Well, why?
Yes, so I'm on Twitter quite a lot. I tweeted some stuff. I tweeted a tweet about
what is some? Does some stuff means I'm going to decapitate you? I'm going to pull your fingernails out. What did you tweet?
Oh, I just tweeted, I think, that the nurse, there was a nurse that went over to help with the Ebola kind of epidemic in Africa. She came back to the UK. She knew she was ill. She knew she had a temperature, but she carried on through. I called that nurse an Ebola bomb. I got taken in for questioning and was interviewed under caution because I called her an Ebola bomb on Twitter.
Okay, so what?
That's it. I know. Well, so what? Well, and then another example would be the Major Crime and Homicide Command. I was interviewed under caution with them. That's the Homicide Command because I wrote a column about migrants crossing the Med, and I said we should stop the boats and send in the military. I had to be questioned under caution because of inciting racial hatred was my charge, but I was let off. How lucky I am.
You know, I can't believe what I'm hearing, but in light of what I've been through with this stalker of over a decade and these horrible false accusations against me, I mean, I guess nothing surprises me. I don't have a lot of time. I'd be negligent if I didn't ask you about Marine Le Pen and the chances Le Pen of winning in France, and especially in light of Brexit. And are we ever going to get Brexit done?
Oh, my God. I know, isn't it? It's like having, Christmas with your blooming mother-in-law. It's just like never ending, and it never goes away, I still have enough of my mother-in-law now, and she's dead. But Brexit seems like it's just going to yawn on and on. We've got a snap election coming up so that Theresa May can increase her mandate to power. So that's all going on. But with Macron and Le Pen, Macron, I have to say, as much as he's seen as the saviour for the markets and the saviour for the EU and the great white hope for France, he terrifies me. They say that in the first round, because there's 2 rounds in France, like they can't get enough of it, in the first round you're supposed to vote for who you love, and in the second round you're supposed to vote for who you fear the most. And I say, I fear Macron. He's an investment banker, he's a Rothschild baby, he's married to his teacher, who's 24 years his senior, who he met when he was at school, and that's really freaky. He has no friends. He had to create his own party in order to achieve what he's achieved, and he has no representation at all in the Senate. So even if he gets in, he's only going to get in with kind of 60% probably, and then he has no representation. So how he's going to govern, I don't know.
But I don't understand. I do not understand how in light of all of the terrorist attacks in Great Britain and the migrant crime that has existed throughout all of Europe, that there isn't every European being outraged like you are and saying we're not going to allow people that do not respect our laws, our sovereignty, our culture, and want to assimilate into this country, especially people that grow up under Sharia that oppress women, kill gays and lesbians, and persecute Christians and Jews.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, it's the opposite. Like, the right answer, like, there's a tick-box list of answers you're allowed to have here in the UK. So only this morning on the radio and the news, it was the left were campaigning for a minister for refugees, because there's a feeling that refugees don't get sufficient opportunities in this country, you know, and then we have a tick box that says you cannot talk about sexuality if it's a Muslim person speaking, because it's their right to hate LGBT, and then you can't talk about anything to do with molestation or, for example, 1,800 rapes and sexual assaults on New Year's Eve in Cologne. That was covered up because they were carried out by migrants, and it's seen as not good for the Muslim community if we tell the truth about the crimes that are committed.
I wish I could talk to you all day. You know what? We're going to